What's up, guys? Matthew here, back at it again with another board game review. Now, you're gonna be impressed with this, okay? Guess what? Guess what I did? I wrote notes. Look at that. Look at that shit. Look at that. I wrote notes. That way, I'm not gonna screw up like I did the past videos and forget certain game mechanics that I really should be mentioning beyond the ball. So now, I've got myself a little teleprompter. So, we're good to go. Don't worry, the loose style of the videos are still there. It's just gonna be a little bit of a guide to help me get through the entire game without missing a single thing. More clear and concise for you. Today, we're gonna be looking at Ticket to Ride by Alan R. Moon. With a name like that, this game ought to be out of this world. It's Alan R. Moon. It's Moon. That was the joke. It's Moon. Ticket to Ride is an interesting game because whenever you're in a board game store, you're most likely going to see a million boxes of them in different styles, like Ticket to Ride India, Europe, China. There's so many Ticket to Ride style of games that you can't help but see them in a board game store. And I'm sure the first thing you're thinking of as someone who maybe has never even thought about Ticket to Ride until then is, that game seems a little too scary because it's just so many expansions. What's a guy or girl or whatever you identify with to do? What's going on? I think this. I don't want to get into that. The Ticket to Ride hype. That's a little too much gravy for the gravy train. You know what I'm saying? Well, fear not. Most of the expansions for Ticket to Ride are literally just going to be map replacements for the base game. So you don't have to worry about adding some extra stuff that you don't need. So first things first, let's go over what the elements of the game we have here. First of all, we have the board. The board is obviously what you're going to be playing on, and the board's going to feature mostly United States cities, but also some Canadian ones, including Winnipeg. Guys, Winnipeg is on a board game. Call out the air horns, it's Winnipeg time. The numbers outside the board indicate a score chart, so you can keep track of the score that you're at without having to take out a calculator or write it down on a sheet of paper or whatever. It can do the math for you. There are two decks in the game. There's your train card deck, and then there's your ticket deck. The train cards are essentially the currency in which you can build the routes on the world map. They all have their respective colors, and including a wild card, which can be obviously any color that you choose from it. The ticket cards are mass score bonuses based off of connecting one city to another with one rail. And we'll get into all this, we'll break this all down later. At the start of the game, you're going to be given 3 ticket cards and 4 train cards. Since this is the beginning of the game, you will be forced to choose at least 2 out of the 3 ticket cards that you were dealt. You can choose all 3 if you like, but you have to choose 2. Now that the game is all set up, you've got your cluster of colored trains, you've got your tickets, and you've got your 4 train cards. It's time to start. So the way the game works is that you can do 1 action per turn, and you have 3 options in how you'd like to spend that action. 1 action could be collecting 2 train cards. Another action could be building onto the map, or another action could be collecting more tickets. In terms of collecting the train cards, you have a couple of options. In the rail card area, there will always be 5 face-up ones along with the deck face down that's available for everyone to see. So if there's a specific color that you want and you see it face up, you can actually grab it on your turn. And you can pick 2 cards. So you can grab 2 from the face-up pile, or you can grab 2 from the face-down deck, or you can be one mystery card, or 1 from the face-up pile, or whatever. It's completely up to you. If you do take one of the 5 face-up cards, then you can immediately replace it with the top of the deck. So that's how you can draw cards on your turn. And there is no hand limit, so you can have yourself a whole deck in your hands ready to build. Now, obviously, the second action that you can do is building. I mean, that's kind of the bulk of the game. You got a big world map. You're gonna be building trains. And choo-choo, chugga-chugga. Well, the way a build action works is that you select a route between two connecting cities. So the way it works is you choose a route between two connecting cities. So let's say, for example, Miami to Atlanta. And you'll notice that Miami to Atlanta has 5 blue spaces. This means that the cost of completing that route is going to cost you 5 blue train cards. And the way it works is that you have to have 5 blue train cards in your hand in order to build it. You can't just throw down 1 blue and begin building a route. You actually have to build it all at once when you have the cards that you need. Some rails will have just gray spaces, which basically mean you can actually use any color to fill it. However, just like it is with the Miami to Atlanta blue spaces, you have to choose one color and commit to the gray space with that one color. So for example, if you choose to build between Atlanta and Charleston, and there's 2 spaces available for that, then you'll have to choose 2 of a kind of any color, even if it's gray. So you can't just mix and match, basically. So you could do 2 oranges, you could do 2 pinks, you could do 2 blues, 2 greens, 2 blacks, however you want to do it. But it has to be of that kind. Obviously, there are benefits to building bigger rails. Obviously, the bigger, the better. The more points you can get from it. So the scores go up from 1 point, which is just literally 1 space route, to a 6 space route, which will give you 15 points. So it's obviously more beneficial to build bigger than smaller. However, obviously beggars can't be choosers. So at the beginning of the game, you were given 3 ticket cards and you had to choose at least 2, but you could choose all 3 if you so desired. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, assuming you don't know anything about this game, well, why not take all 3? Jesus. I mean, the points, the more points, the better. And well, there's a major risk that involve the tickets. Essentially, what the tickets are they're a challenge to connect 2 cities together, and they're not as simple as just the routes on the map. When you're building a route, it's just a 1-to-1 city sort of thing, one city to another. However, these tickets are going to show you one city and another city that you have to connect that aren't already connected by one route. So it's going to force you to build, around other routes in order to connect those 2 together. And there's some crazy routes, like from east to west and north to south and stuff like that. There's a lot of big routes to cover. And the risk of it all is that failure to complete these ticket routes will result in negative points. So on the ticket card, it's going to show you how much points that route is worth. And if you complete the route, then at the end of the game, you will receive those points. However, failure to complete it means you're going to get negative those points. So choosing your routes wisely are very important. It's a very risk versus reward thing. So that all disclaimer aside, as an action, instead of building trains or collecting cards, you can instead choose to collect more tickets, assuming that you feel confident in your ticket collecting abilities, or you've already secretly completed all the tickets that you've received at the beginning of the game. If you do choose to collect more tickets, you will be given 3 random ticket cards, and you will have to choose one. You can choose all 3, but you'll have to take one back with you. So you can't, recede on your oh, I don't want to do this anymore. Oh, this is a bad idea. You have to do it. You have to do it, dude. Your fault. It's your fault. So when does the game end? Well, when a player ends a turn with 2 or less trains left in their pool, then the game has one more turn, and then it will end, in which you will start counting the points that everyone has accrued, in which then you'll start counting up all the bonus points people have gotten, which also includes a bonus a longest road achievement, which is a free 10 points, and you don't lose 10 points for not completing it. It's a bonus 10 points that anybody can achieve with just the longest continuous route on the map. Once the points have been counted, then the winner with the highest points is decided. Obviously, winner with the highest points. We're not talking about golf here. God, I am so sneezy, right? Don't you just hate it when like a sneeze comes in and you're like, okay, come on, I'm ready for it, come on out, and then it just doesn't. Now it's like I'm just all congested now up here. Great. I'm actually like fairly certain that like I do have some like minor pollen allergies. And I just, I never really thought about it till now. So what do I think about this game? Well, for one, this particular iteration of Ticket to Ride, which is the original game, the base game, is obviously super simple, super stripped down, and so easy to pick up and play. Anybody can play it. But contrary to that, when Ticket to Ride Europe came out, it added new conventions. So I'll probably be looking at that in the future because there's a half and half split with what Ticket to Rides are like the better experience. For one, the Ticket to Ride, the original, is obviously something that's near and dear to a lot of people's hearts, and it's something that people just universally can enjoy, no problem. And Ticket to Ride Europe has, it's a split divide of people going, yes, this is great, I love these new conventions, and people going, I wish it was just the same. At the same time, I'd like to review Ticket to Ride Europe because it pretty much is like a different game. I mean, not vastly different, but it certainly deserves its own review, and not just this is just another iteration of Ticket to Ride. So I'll probably look at that in the future. But for now, I have to say this game is definitely highly up there on my recommend list. I can't recommend this game enough. I think it's definitely worth the purchase. Anybody can like actually get started and play this. Like there is no like learning curve with this game, as much as it is just learning, how to strategize your builds better or whatever. But getting into the game is pretty simple and very accessible. So I highly recommend it. So if you like this video, please leave a like, and if you haven't subscribed already, please go ahead if you want to see more of these videos in the future. And obviously, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again. Whip.